Well, folks, it looks like Zach Wilson is starting to see ghosts, just like everybody else who wears a Jets uniform. Welcome aboard, everybody, here at Sports Talk Nation. Michael Cohen here with you, and yes, we are back. We had a big week off last week, a lot of things going on, but back here on the Sports Talk Nation, and for the first time in quite a long time, both the Jets and Giants not having a particularly good week, especially Gang Green, for that matter, as they lose to the New England Patriots 22-17. There are so many things, so many different ways to pick apart what's going on here for the Jets over the last 24 hours. We have now fans calling for Zach Wilson to be benched. You have people who were all on the Zach Wilson bandwagon for the last couple of years. Now all of a sudden saying, Zach not so mature. And I'm talking about Dan Orlovsky, obviously. And certainly this is a situation right now with Zach Wilson that you're starting to see a lot of people starting to turn against him right now as his poor play is now starting to become evident, and it helped and really was costing the Jets a big game against a division rival in the Patriots. But we'll get to him in a minute, because where the Jets lost this game against New England, it was before Zach Wilson was having interception fest. It happened in the second quarter. The Jets are up 10-3. The Patriots have the football. They are on the Jets' 32-yard line, or is it 25-yard line, I believe. And you have Mac Jones drop back, throw the ball into the hands of Michael Carter II, who goes coast to coast, 84 yards for a touchdown. It was a pick six. It would have put the Jets up 17-3. Instead, you had John Franklin Myers get called for a roughing the passer penalty. Now, I know that a lot of people watching the game yesterday didn't think that was a roughing the passer call. Look, 20, 25 years ago, that wasn't a roughing the passer call. I totally understand that. But we live in a new world here in the NFL. Over the last 10 years, anytime you hit the quarterback, even sneeze on the quarterback, they're going to throw the flag. And this is not a first time for John Franklin Myers. He has done this before, where he has hit the quarterback and caused a roughing the passer penalty, as he did against Cincinnati earlier this year. And it cost the Jets then. It cost the Jets dearly this time, because after that, it was all downhill for the Jets. And that is, I would pinpoint on not just John Franklin Myers for the penalty, but that is on coaching as well, because instead of being up 17-3, now the Jets are up 10-6 going into the half. That's up to the Jets coaching staff. That's up to Robert Saleh and crew to say, hey, look, put that behind you. Forget about it. We move on and try to find some form of motivation. But instead, the Jets, it just took all the air out of the balloon for the Jets, and there was really nothing left the rest of the way. So there was that. Then we saw all the turnovers come, and we saw Zach Wilson hurrying throws, panicking in the pocket. He did very poorly under pressure. And some people pointed out that the Patriots, Bill Belichick, once again, figuring out a formula to defeat a young Jets quarterback, and that is putting up a lot of pressure, sending, three or four guys, sending the entire house basically after the quarterback, even if they don't sack him, just getting enough pressure on him to make him hurry throws. The Jets, of course, not able to run the football right now. And there are a lot of factors that go into all this situation here with the Jets, with the offense. One being the fact that Breece Hall is out for the season. Losing him last week against Denver was going to be a killer. I mean, he has that 62-yard run for the touchdown against Denver last week. He was phenomenal for the first half of the season. Looked like he was going to be on his way to Offensive Rookie of the Year with Breece Hall. And the Jets lose him to a knee injury, and you knew that was going to hurt their offense, and it did. Losing Elijah Vera Tucker for the season was going to hurt this offense, and it did. So you can't discount the fact that the injuries that the Jets have incurred here over the last couple of weeks didn't play a factor, because they did play a factor in this game. And they're going to play a factor, really, for the rest of the season. So that is a problem as well. But you expect, and Jet fans expect, that their young quarterback is going to find a way to elevate this team to the next level. And unfortunately, at this point in his career, it's not possible for Zach Wilson. You had the hurried throw. The first interception was intended for James Robinson, the new guy the Jets picked up from Jacksonville. Instead, Zach holds the ball too long, hurries the throw, airmails it over Robinson. It gets picked off. The next play, we see Wilson again roll out to his right. Now, he had done this earlier in the game. He rolled out to his right and hit Garrett Wilson down the sideline for a completion, his best pass of the day. He tries to do that a second time. Instead of releasing the ball when it's pretty obvious that Garrett Wilson is wide open down the sideline, he holds onto the ball to Zach, and as a result, here comes the outside linebacker into his face. He hurries the throw. It gets picked off. You see the pattern here? The pattern being is that Zach Wilson holds onto the ball too damn long. And that's the big problem. I know one talks about the off-platform throws. I know one talks about the strong arm. We've been hearing about it since he got drafted. That's really the one reason why a lot of people thought the Jets should go out there and draft them. Everyone was oohing and eyeing over the arm of Zach Wilson during the combine. I totally understand that. There is talent there. I'm not saying there isn't. But he has got to learn how to step into throws and to hit his receivers when they are open. There's nothing wrong with standing in the pocket. And yes, I understand the Jets are challenged as far as the offensive line is concerned. No Mekhi Becton, no Elijah Vera Tucker. I get it. But when we see Zach Wilson actually stand in a pocket and throw, or stand up even when he rolls out and throws, he can hit his receiver. We saw him hit Conklin for a touchdown. We saw him hit Garrett Wilson for a big pass down the sideline earlier in the game. He's got to learn to get rid of the football, and that's really his big problem. And he's got to be a lot smarter with the football. We also saw there was a situation late in the game, 4th and 5. C opens up. There's nobody around him. And instead of running for a first down, he decides to airmail it using his hollowed surfer and arm, airmail it into the end zone, into double coverage. Conklin is covered, and it nearly gets picked off there. Again, I don't know if there's two trains of thought here. One, the coaching that he is getting from the Jet coaching staff, Mike LaFleur, the offensive coordinator, isn't getting through. Or he just thinks when he gets out there, because of his arm talent, he can just airmail the ball wherever he wants. And that is a problem. This needs if Zach Wilson is going to turn the narrative again back to all the praise that he was getting over the last year plus, if he's going to go back to that instead of what we've seen over the last 24 hours, he has got to play smart football. You can't throw the ball all over the place. You can't throw off your back foot and expect that your receiver is going to catch it. This is not the Mountain West. It's not the Mountain West. This is the National Football League. And that has got to change. Now, the reaction by a lot of Jet fans, of course, saying that he should be benched, that he's not the guy. We've been down this road with Jet quarterbacks. And the reason why Jet fans are this vocal right now about this is because we've been down this road consistently over and over and over again. And the Jets have been really on this train ride of musical chairs with quarterbacks really since 2007. Think about that for a second. When they said, you know what, after that 4-12 season back in 2007 with Chad Pennington, and decided, we're done with Chad, we're going to bring in Brett Favre. That didn't work out. And then the musical chairs with rookie quarterbacks began. Mark Sanchez, then Geno Smith. Then it was pit stops with guys like Christian Hackenberg, never played. Bryce Petty, not that great. Didn't go anywhere. And then finally Sam Darnold. We all know how that ended up. And now here we are again with Zach Wilson. You see, the pattern is the Jets as a organization, and this is a philosophical problem for them, they are not good at developing the quarterback position. They just aren't. Everyone knows that. They just aren't. And it doesn't matter who the coach is, whether it be Rex Ryan and his coaching staff, or Todd Bowles, or Adam Gase. Now, obviously, here with Robert Saleh, and I still have high hopes with Saleh. I think he's a good coach. I'm not. I got my questions about the offensive coordinator. I've had him for a while with LaFleur, but I think Saleh is a good head coach. They have had an inability to develop young quarterbacks and an impatience to develop young quarterbacks, and that's a league-wide problem because these teams, they recycle coaches, they recycle GMs, they recycle quarterbacks like this, 2 or 3 years. That's it. So Zach Wilson does not get any much better than this. And we can still continue to see him making these off-platform throws that are off his back foot that result in turnovers. And the schedule is not going to get any easier, as I'm going to mention in a second. Then yes, we could start having this legitimate conversation down the road about what's next for the Jets quarterback. Lamar Jackson's available next year. Baker Mayfield's available next year. Jimmy G's available next year. Do the Jets go to a veteran route next year? Do they go draft again? Oh, God, please no. That's going to be the question moving forward. So I'm not going to sit here and tell you that Zach Wilson isn't the guy. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that the Jets need to bench him now. But it needs to change, and it needs to improve. And it's ironic and interesting that Mike Whitehouse was elevated to number 2 quarterback right after that game ended. And the schedule's not going to be fun. We could be in the midst, folks. And look, this has been a fantastic start to this season. I hate to say this because we had so much fun here for a while with wins against Pittsburgh and Green Bay and Denver all on the road. And we see how young this team is and how much talent they have. Again, with guys like Michael Carter. I mean, you know the names. Michael Carter, Breece Hall, Sauce Gardner. I mean, we can go over and over. They got so much talent all over the place. There's no reason why this team can't get it together and be a playoff team. Are they a playoff team? Well, we're going to find out in the next several weeks. Because they get Buffalo this week. Yeah. Then they get a bye week. Hey, no turnovers that week on a bye week. Then they go back to New England to face the Patriots. Then they get a reprieve. The Bears come in. Thank goodness. Thank goodness the Bears come in. Then after that, it's the 6-1 Vikings at Minnesota and then at Buffalo. So we could be sitting here as we pass Thanksgiving going into December. We could be looking at the Jets possibly being 6-7 going into the last stretch of their season. And oh, by the way, the next to last game of the year is in Seattle against a certain former Jets quarterback who, oh, by the way, has figured his career out, is now an MVP candidate. Yes, he's an MVP candidate. Maybe he could take Seattle to the Super Bowl. Did I just say that? I don't know. Anything's possible in the NFC this year. Geno Smith and the Seattle Seahawks in Week 17. That's going to be fun. Up in Seattle, too. Jets haven't won in Seattle since the Kingdom was still up. If you don't know what the Kingdom is, Google it. Anyway, it's frustrating. I'm not ready to give up the ghost just yet, but things have to improve for the Jets. Speaking of Geno Smith, and obviously he beat the Giants yesterday, 27-13 with the Seahawks. That's not the same quarterback we saw in New York with the Jets and the Giants. He's more confident. He's more poised. He's got a team around him that believes in him. He's got a coach, Pete Carroll, former Jets coach, who also believes in him. And they are clicking on all cylinders. They look like they could be tough in the NFC. The Giants are due for a loss. They're due for a bad loss. This is a team that's a little bit thin at receiver right now. The trading Kadarius Toney was, I understand for some fans controversial, but he didn't fit what Brian Daboll wanted. But what the Seahawks did was they bottled up Saquon Barkley and they bottled up Daniel Jones, and they kept those two guys from running around all over the place. And that's how you beat the Giants. They were in the game. Their defense played well for the most part. If it weren't for those 2 fumbles and special teams, maybe it's a different game for Big Blue. But at the end of the day, they take the L. They go into the bye week. They're okay. They're 6-2. They're still in the mix, and they're going to get a couple of games coming out of their bye week, Houston and Detroit. They get the Texans and the Lions after the bye week. So basically, it's like 3 weeks off until they see the Cowboys on Thanksgiving Day for the Giants, who are probably going to go into that game against Dallas, 8-2, something like that. They'll be fine. They will be fine. But for the Jets, chaos, as usual, seems to reign supreme for everybody on social media and for what's going on right now with the Jets. Last thing that I know, just a couple of quick notes here. One, I saw that there was rumors about the Jets possibly going after Bradley Chubb. Then I saw that they weren't interested based on a Twitter that I saw from Rich Cimini, who's a beat reporter for the Jets on ESPN. So I guess the Jets feel that they like what they have defensively. Would have been an interesting addition, but they probably would have to give up a lot of draft stock in order to get Bradley Chubb here to be a defensive end and help this defensive unit out. We'll see what happens. The Jets have a few hours here before the deadline to see if they can make some kind of move between now and then. And the black uniforms. But the black uniforms are horrible. I'm sorry. The black helmets just don't do it for me, man. They really don't. I mean, you see that helmet over my, it probably looks like over my right shoulder, that white helmet? I want to see that again. I want to see that again, that uniform again. Heck, I'll even take the Rich Kotite uniform over that black helmet and black uniform design we saw yesterday. Oh my goodness, that is awful. And we're going to see that uniform 2 more times, apparently against the Bears and the Jaguars this year. Oh, oh, oh! Please, after this season, please scrap it. Please, please give us more of a traditional look for this franchise. My goodness, awful. Anyway. You know what to do, folks. Like and subscribe right here on YouTube, and also follow us on social media, facebook.com/OpenMicProgram, @OpenMicNJ on Twitter. Talk to you next time.